Limitless, painless, injury-free, like your body should.
This is actually something that is really kind of fundamental to the foundation of Limitless Physical Therapy. I'm not going to get into a ton of the neuroscience behind it, but I'm going to talk just a little bit about how the prefrontal cortex of the brain is associated with emotions, fear, anxiety, and attention, and that prefrontal cortex has a very strong influence on pain processing and neuroplasticity. So just a real brief summary as far as how the context of what we do and how we do it is so critical to really trying to optimize and improve what a patient's experience and a patient's outcome is. In this lecture, which was from a course that Nate and I took on persistent pain science, this is going to be just a little bit of a snippet. And one of the big things that's so important, that's so critical that they talk about, and it's out there in the literature, is the therapeutic alliance. Now, therapeutic alliance, what it comes down to is that patient's relationship with their provider, whether that's a physical therapist or a doctor in general. And that strong therapeutic alliance where the patient really feels like the provider's listening to them, engaging them, cares about their outcome is so critical to improving that patient's outcome. This study by Fuentes actually goes into talking a little bit about that from a research perspective, where they actually brought patients in and said, we're going to do interferential for your pain. Interferential current or electric stimulation has been shown to modulate and decrease pain. They said, this is going to help you feel better. But what they did is they had some patients come in and the provider hooked them up and just left. They had some patients, the provider hooked them up, and while they were doing electric stimulation, the patient sat there and talked about their day, their life, their family, who they are, those kind of things. And when they kind of stepped away as far as outcomes, what they found is that the best outcomes were from the patients that had the interferential current, the stim, as well as the therapeutic alliance. The second best outcome was actually the therapeutic alliance, that engagement from the provider without the interferential even turned on. And then if they did the interferential without the therapeutic alliance, that was kind of the third best outcome. And so it really tried to highlight the fact that that therapeutic alliance can really change a patient's outcome in terms of both pain as well as function. So just kind of setting the framework around this. And then there were a couple articles by Wagner and Testa that actually talked about the constructing of context around a patient's experience. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of those things because it really brings home the fact and some of the things that are so critical to what we do and the things that everyone here does such an amazing job with every single day to really provide a context for patients to heal, feel like they have a trusting relationship with their provider, the clinic. They have, positive effects and positive encouragement when they come in. And that context around their treatment is as important or more important sometimes in that patient's recovery over what we actually do with the patient. And so it's just fascinating, some of the research behind that and how strong of an impact that can have on the patient. So we talked about context and we talked about therapeutic alliance, some of the things that we talk about, and this is going to relate to everybody, so you're going to think about examples of how you do this really, really well. From verbal, like active listening, letting the patient speak, providing humor, positive, energetic tone, positive language, optimism, positive mirroring, emphasizing the positive. So one of the things that they say is, too often in PT, we highlight the problem list with a patient versus, hey, you've got all these positive things going for you that is going to improve your outcome. And we're going to work on overcoming these, these barriers through all these positive things. So really highlighting that and empowering the patient. Avoiding maladaptive language, avoiding labeling patients, some of those things that can just easily be built into the healthcare system. Nonverbal, so things like eye contact, body language, posture, physical contact, all of those things can really positively impact the patient's experience. And I think, things that I see everybody here doing really, really well every day. Appearance. So, there is the fact that, patients will be impacted by a PT that, is dressed like they expect their PT or a doctor to be dressed, that positive association type of thing. Even things down to the appearance, the feel of the clinic. So, lights and windows, colors and all those things that don't feel sterile, make it feel a little warmer. We prioritize putting carpet in these new treatment rooms, dimmers on the switches, trying to put art on the wall that, is empowering and inspiring, all those little things that make, patients just overall experience improved, as well as, you think of places that have, the model of the spine and it shows bone spurs and arthritis and disc bulge. You have a patient who comes in and sees that and right away they're starting to, think, oh my gosh, my back's a mess. What are they going to tell me? All these negative beliefs that can, negatively influence, how they feel. The things that the front desk does, as far as amazing experience at the front, phone voice, how quickly when a patient calls, how many rings go into before, someone picks up, that someone is picking up versus them leaving a message. All of those things give that patient a personal experience. And again, the research continues to show how that improves a patient's ability to recover, their positive experience, their belief in themselves, and those types of things. I jumped into some of the external things, ambient sound in the clinic, the lighting, having both private and open treatment areas. Some patients, you need that privacy. Other patients really feed and, get energy from being in a more collaborative environment. So having those options, treatment context, and that includes hands-on versus hands-off, and doing the combination of both. One-on-one with the PT versus some places have the PT see multiple patients at the same time. The thing that we PTs always joke around is tools, like ultrasound. If a patient comes in and they've had back pain for a while and they say, the only thing that's ever helped me is ultrasound. Well, whether we think it's going to help them or not, the patient knows it's helped them. So it's important that we take that into account and incorporate some of that ultrasound as we work on, passive, going from passive to active treatments, exercises, those types of things. Energy and delivery, those things are, a big impact on things. And then the patient's, internal context. And this is where, some of the front desk comes in terms of first person getting to know that patient. And, the valuable information that I get from the front desk all the time really just helps me understand where that patient is. So we talk about patients' beliefs and expectations, their relationship with the doctor, what the doctor has to say, which is, why we do some of those reaching out to physicians, is developing those relationships that, a physician can know and trust us a little bit more and provide that positive expectation. Friends and family, we see that, up to 30% of our referrals are friends and family, which is huge because the patient already is in the mindset of, I'm going to have a good experience. So-and-so who I trust told me that I'm going to have a good experience. To even things like Google reviews, that has a building effect. If a patient's seen a Google review and, that's me, then they're already in a place where they're feeling good. They know they're going to have a better experience, and those beliefs just carry into the things that we can do. So there's a ton of things that everybody does on a daily basis. There's a lot of little things that we do, from reaching out to patients when they miss their appointment, to contacting physicians, the no appointment report, the calls that the front desk does. And all of those little things are really meant to provide an elevated patient experience. Our understanding that the research shows if a patient is in a positive state of mind, has positive beliefs, is feeling good, we as PTs use positive active language. It can just totally change that patient's outcome, their belief in themselves, and their long-term belief that they're going to get better. And so again, part of this is just kind of bringing full circle some of the pieces that have been so thoughtful and built into lots of the little things that we do, and some of the why behind that, because it's so easy to get caught up, and there's a lot of just moving parts and getting caught in the day of, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. But all these little pieces, have been the things that everyone here, no one would be here if they didn't, really embody this and do such a great job with this. And it's been what has made us the best physical therapy practice, in this area, which is really cool when we stop to take a second. And I have countless, patients and stories that, they just They just speak to how this feels different. And it's all those little things that every person here does that, makes that happen. And so I'm so excited to take a second, bring in some of the research and the support behind these pieces, and really just take a second to thank everybody and acknowledge the roles and the parts that everybody